Thank you very much, Marcin. I was here last year, and this is a great event for us, and we welcome this. We look forward to this every year because we consider ourselves to be more. Pardon me? Closer to the microphone. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me, everyone? Okay, if I'm speaking too fast, if you just want to raise your hand and I'll slow down. I have a tendency sometimes to get excited about things. I've been working at ISI, formerly ISI now, for 39 years. So it has been a great part of my life. And I was on the team that developed the Web of Science. I co-developed not only the Web of Science, but our indexing system that we use, and it has gone through several iterations. And I also participated in the development of the Derwent Innovations Index, the patent literature on our platform, as well as Biosis, and moving in many different projects over 39 years, of course. And in the last 18 years of my career here have been devoted to visiting customers and talking to customers about their needs and requirements and making sure that we understand what we should do. And so that's why I said we're a partner of the research ecosystem. So today, it's a nice title, Back to the Future, because it really is back to the future. I'm going to talk about a great deal of things. I'll be brief in some cases, but then explain in detail some other things. I'm going to talk about the Web of Science, of course, and introduce you to the Web of Science group. And I'm joined by four colleagues here. Marcin Nandita Quaderni, who is the editor-in-chief of Web of Science, and then Radek is the country manager for Web of Science for Poland and also a number of other countries. And then my colleague, Guillaume Rival, this afternoon is going to talk about insights and give you some insight into insights for publishers. So we're happy to be here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about ISI and the reestablishment of ISI. And, we have a group of people who are academicians, and they are experts in bibliometrics, and they are focused on academic research and research and development, not only looking at our data and looking at how data changes and development of papers. We're going to show one of those as well, but also how we should change our products. Maybe they can help us inform us about the importance of new metrics. So they're looking at that as well. I will talk about new developments, open access visibility, as well as peer review, and also a service that we have called Copernio, which is something on the platform that enables researchers to get to full text with one click, no matter where they are, so your library travels with you. And then also peer review Publons, getting credit for peer review and how Publons is contributing to improved author and peer review transparency. And then how that is going to be incorporated in the platform as well in the coming months. Because Web of Science, as we know, is evolving. It is changing. It has become not only a research and discovery tool, but it is now a research intelligence tool because of the data and how we index that data. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about analytics, but I'm just going to mention it briefly because Guillaume is going to talk about that. So we're relatively a new company, and Web of Science Group now is a company within Clarivate Analytics devoted to the academic research ecosystem, publishers, societies, institutions, government agencies, etc. And we have a new leader, Annette Thomas. She is our Chief Executive Officer, and she comes to us with a wealth of experience. So we are very, very excited to have her at the helm of our organization because she has walked in the shoes of researchers. She was at the helm of Nature Publishing. So she knows publishing very well. So she understands research. And that's very, very important for us as an organization. And we, as I said, we have the Institute for Scientific Information now reestablished. But we have a team of people. Our leadership team is really, they all have a wealth of experience in different facets of research, publishing, academic research, managing peer review, et cetera. And they understand the needs of researchers and institutions very clearly. And we're very excited to have this team. They're making things happen tremendously quickly, and we are on a path to evolving our company to serve all facets of the research ecosystem. So this graphic that I'm showing you on the left side of the screen, it's complex. So it takes a while for anyone to look at that and say, oh, what does this mean? But really, at the center of that graphic, you have the Web of Science content, the Web of Science, because it's informing all of those things around it. It's integrated in unique ways to serve the research ecosystem for peer review, for publishing, for discovery, for research assessment, et cetera. So that content is very, very important to us, and we have a wealth of resources that are connected to the Web of Science as well. We have EndNote. Copernio is now embedded in the Web of Science. It's also something that is freely available. I'm going to talk about that. We also have, we've talked about the journal citation reports, and Nandita is going to talk a little bit about that. But the journal citation reports obviously is something that has been written a lot about. It's written a lot about it. Has been written, and it is a journal evaluation tool. I think that's very clear for collection development. And we also have a publishing system called ScholarOne. And as editors, you're managing, peer review as well as selection and submission of manuscripts, communication with authors, changes, reviewers, et cetera. And ScholarOne manuscripts is a tool that can help you because it serves the entire publishing ecosystem, the publishing process, from start or submission of papers through the actual, all the editorial changes and stages of production to the paper being published. And it increases your profile among authors because it is connected. You can have it connected to the Web of Science for searching for reviewers, checking references, et cetera. All of this can be automated. It decreases your time to market for critical scientific data, and it lowers your infrastructure cost, and it streamlines the production and processing of papers and the publishing process altogether. And it is a hosted service, so we're building a journal, a site for your journal, and it is an off-the-shelf modular infrastructure, but then we customize that based on your workflow. So very clearly it is sort of the best of both worlds because it serves your workflow with tools that we know that are important to the publishing process. And it's very complex. You see this picture in front of you, and on the left you see the submission and how you decide on papers and how you communicate with authors. There's an author-based module, there's an editor-based module, and ScholarOne Manuscripts handles the entire process from start to finish, even things such as collecting fees and all of that as well. It's used by over 365 societies and publishers. 90% of the largest publishers in the world are using ScholarOne Manuscripts as their researching tool, and it has the backing of the Web of Science support for its development, and it has a team of people. It's based in Charlottesville, Virginia, but we also have an office, sort of an adjunct office in Europe as well. But the team has spent years working in publishing as well. So they very clearly are market-driven development. So they are working with customers, both large and small, to develop ScholarOne so that it serves the research community in publishing. And so that is a tool that it serves the editors and journals very clearly. and it's integrated with Web of Science content. So let's get back to the foundation, which is the Web of Science. And in the center of that circle, you see the Web of Science core collection, which includes the Science Citation Index Expanded, Social Sciences Citation Index, Arts and Humanities Citation Index, Emerging Sources Citation Index, which we've heard referenced before. I'm going to speak a little bit about that as well. And then we'll talk about the selection later today for the core collection, both the Emerging Sources Citation Index and then the other editions of the Web of Science. But around the Web of Science core collection, you have a number of specialty products that are focused on disciplines like biosis for the applied life sciences and biomedical research. And you have a version of Medline also. And you have also partner products that we've added to the platform, such as the Korean Journal Database, the Chinese Science Citation Database, the Russian Science Citation Database, and the fourth one is Cielo. We have a new one coming out in the near future. It will be added to the platform as well. And all of this takes advantage of the platform tools and features. So the idea here is to integrate that content. So all told, the Web of Science, though, the core collection, covers 254 different disciplines. Now, from the beginning, the idea was that the Web of Science, or the Science Citation Index, Social Sciences Citation Index, and Arts and Humanities Citation Index would cover every discipline, the most important literature covered in that discipline. Those databases were built working with academic libraries. The collection criteria that were developed in cooperation with the largest libraries in the U.S. and Europe. But we're unique in that we cover things. Every substantive item is covered and indexed, meaning it is completely indexed and available on the platform. In the core collection, we have over 21,000 titles at this point. And that number is evolving because there is no number of titles we will cover because, as we all know, new titles are coming out all the time and we continue to evaluate them as quickly as possible. We have over 155 million records on the platform. In the Web of Science alone, there's around 75 million records, and it's growing by 2 million records every year. And very uniquely, we do citation indexing because every cited reference is processed. And that allows you to traverse the discipline that you're looking at, the paper, to see how someone is taking it forward and using it in new ways, and also to trace the origins of that discipline or that research area all the way back to its beginning. And you'll see how science has changed and how new things are connected through the scientific literature using cited references. And you would miss things by just doing subject indexing because the cited references do not change, but the subject terminology to describe a discipline does change. So the core collection, as I said, 21,000 journals, and you have a number of editions there. Both the Conference Proceedings Citation Index and Book Citation Index are included, but it's over 73 million records, 100% with cited references and full author data, full author abstracts at this point, and also funding information from 2008. Multidisciplinary, we're building the tool really from the inside out. And what I mean by that is that we're doing the work of a major university, a library, in that we're bringing the most important and relevant high-quality literature to the platform, indexing it completely, and then making it available in ways that are unique so that you can find things very easily and you get quality results by default. And that's very, very important for research. I'm not going to talk about selection because Nandita is going to talk about that in detail, but I will say this, in that decisions about coverage are very critical to us. The content that we include in the platform is probably the most important thing we do. From the start, the selection criteria, and they have changed over time because publishing changes, and we have to change with publishing. But high quality, unbiased, neutral selection is the hallmark of the Web of Science. So Web of Science has been around now for 22 years, almost 23 years now. So it is a database that is growing exponentially. Every year more is added to it. And our decisions our editorial decisions are made very carefully after thorough review. And it is very critical to us. So Nandita will talk about that in detail. The indexing, though, as you see on this screen, it's very busy, but it just gives you an example of the in-depth indexing. Now, this looks when you look at each one of these boxes, it looks like it's easy. This is standard bibliographic data. But it's indexed according to the policy to make it searchable across decades of research that we've indexed. So it is indexed according to our policy. And the people doing this work, 1,600 people strong, are trained for a period of about 6 months before they go on production, because we want things to be consistent. We want everything to be covered that should be covered, and it should be as correct as possible. So we've developed processes to make it as good as we can. And then also citation navigation. On the platform you have, this is one article that you're looking at, but you can integrate this. This article is integrated into a network of 1.6 billion cited references. So it can be cited. There can be works that are related to it based on citations shared with this paper. So you can find things based on the indexing we do. And very clearly on the left side of the screen, you see the citation navigation. And that is really unique. It looks and sounds very simple, but there are 50